Welcome back to the Brotherhood of Men, guys. My name's Andy R, and today I'm going to talk about the knotty subject of marriage. Now, if you're already married, well, you're already married. But this is more for the younger guys out there that might be contemplating marriage or thinking about it. But before I do that, if I've earned your subscription today with this video or any of the previous videos, please hit the subscribe button. Don't forget to hit the bell notification. That way you won't miss out on future content. And you don't want to miss out on future content. But this channel and this brotherhood is only going to grow with your support. If I haven't earned your subscription, I hope I'll earn it in the future. But please keep watching the videos. I'm hoping that you're going to get some insights and things that will help change your life for the better. If nothing else, give this video a like. It does help the algorithm and it helps push it out to more people. And also share it if you think there's something in any of the videos I've done that you think somebody else will get benefit from. Share it with them. Anyway, back to the subject, marriage. Now, I'm going to have to preface all of this talk with the fact that I live in England. And therefore, when I talk about the law in England, I can't be talking about the law in your country. England tends to be England and Wales. It's covered by our justice system. Scotland's slightly different, and Northern Ireland's slightly different again when you talk about the UK. I know for a fact that in the United States of America, each state has its own laws about things like divorce, marriage, etc., prenups, such like, and they're called states' laws. And then you've got the federal laws that covers the whole of it's like this. Each state is like its own separate country, just like in the United Kingdom we have England, Scotland, Ireland, and Northern Ireland, and Wales. So we have 4 countries that work together to create the United Kingdom. The United States has, each state is like its own country, has its own laws called state laws, but then there's federal laws that binds everybody together to create a United States, hence the name of the country, the United States of America. Canada has different laws to the United States, so you're going to have to check the legal status of things that I'm talking about now that are applicable in England to see if they are. There is a lot of crossover because your laws are based on our common laws from England. That's where you've got your laws from, but they are different to England. So I'll start this by saying there is no sensible reason for a young man, to even contemplate getting married in today's society. The deck's been stacked against you guys. I'm sorry, this isn't the 1950s. This isn't the 1850s. This is now. This is what you've got to deal with if you're even contemplating getting married. And I can't emphasize this enough. I'm going to say it again. There is no sensible reason for any young man in today's society to get married. Why did we used to get married? What was the reason? Well, you'll go straight to the first one, which is love. I mean, come on, grow up. I've been with my woman for 23 years. Do you think I've loved it every single day of that 23 years? No, of course not. Sometimes I don't even like the woman. And that's the same for her with me. Don't get me wrong, I'm not just saying this, it sounds horrible if I just say, oh, I don't even like the woman. I do love her. I love her to bits. But the thing is that I'm talking daily. There are some days where she just really, really annoys me. And I know there are days that I really, maybe even weeks, maybe months or years, that I really annoy her. So I'm not naive enough to think that she's madly in love with me every day that we've been together. I can guarantee she's not. And you guys out there, if you've got a girlfriend, somebody you see, and a fiance, a wife, you know what I'm talking about. And you women out there who've got a guy, who's got a boyfriend, a fiance, or a husband, There are guys where you want to just days you just want to whack him up the back of the head with a frying pan just for the fact that he's eating his cereals wrong, or he's not closing his mouth, or he's not put the toilet. All of those things that happen in a relationship, they're just day-to-day trash, minutiae. So you can't honestly say to yourself you're madly in love with your partner every day. And if you can, oh, fair play to you, but I don't believe you. Anyway, back to what I was saying. In today's society, in England, the legal system and the financial system are actually stacked against men who are married. And that's the important part. Who are married. A marriage license might as well be a slave certificate for men. As soon as you sign that legal document that says, I am now married to this woman, legally, not religiously, but legally married to this woman, she now has all the power in that relationship, and you are now subservient to her legally. You might feel strong and all the rest of it. Yeah, I've got this beautiful wife, we've just got married, we're madly in love. But later down the line, if she ever decides to leave you, not only is it easier now to just walk away without having to put in the hard effort of making a marriage work, which so few women seem to want to do nowadays, to actually put in the hard work. And it is hard work. That marriage day is the start of the labour. It is not the end of the journey. Women want that big day, the white wedding, the fact that they're the centre of attention for one day in front of all their friends and family, and their future husband who's standing there to say I do. You are the centre of attention, and women love that, absolutely love that. That's the thing that they're going for. But so many women forget that that's the start of the journey. They see the marriage as getting to it as the goal, when in actual fact the goal is to get to the end of your life in as better condition as you can, because you were married. That's the start of the journey. So many people forget that. Men kind of understand it a little bit more, that this is where the journey starts. This is where the hard work starts, of staying in love with your partner, of putting up with the minutiae of day-to-day life which grinds you down, to try and keep the relationship fresh. Women only tend to see that when things start going wrong, and so many decide it's starting to go wrong, that's it, I'm out, I'm finished, it's not worth the effort, the juice is not worth the squeeze. And that's kind of sad, because you put so much effort into getting married, that why wouldn't you put in just as much effort to stay married? But what I'm trying to say to guys is, as soon as you sign that legal document to be legally married, you've literally just signed slave papers to your wife. Hopefully you're now with somebody who is a benign slave owner. She's benign towards you. She's forgiving. She accepts how you are. She works with you to make things work. I do hope that if you're married, that is the truth. But the real truth is that it's so easy now for women to walk away. And when they walk away, they will take a lot of your stuff with them. We talk about it being an equal split, 50-50 after a divorce. This is a myth. Guys, you need to hear this. Guys hope and pray to get 50%. That's their goal, to get 50%. That's a woman's starting point. The minimum she hopes to get is 50%. But everything above that is just gravy and goodness. So keep that in mind, that once you're legally married, this could happen to you. So don't get married to start with. I feel sorry for you young guys out there who are just starting your journey into life, that you're late teens, early 20s. For a start, no guy, as far as I'm concerned, should ever even contemplate marriage before at least 25. But in truth, you should never even see marriage as a goal. Women want to get you down the aisle. I've never met a man yet, married men, divorced men, single men, men with girlfriends and that. I've talked to hundreds, if not thousands of them, and not one of them has ever said, my goal was to get married. They say the relationship progressed to such a point that the next step was to get married. I've talked to many women and their goal is, in fact, if you ask a woman, do you want to get married? The first thing, who's single, the first thing she'll say, yeah, of course I want to get married. Well, of course she does, because now you've just handed all power, all responsibility over to the woman. And women are chaotic. Women like change. Women are constantly, never truly happy with their situation. Now, in the UK, in England, luckily, there is no such thing legally as a common law arrangement, a common law man, common law wife. You can live together with a woman for, well, all of your life. And if you split up, she has no legal claim on your chattel, on your goods. That's in England. Now, I know some of the states in America, and I don't think it applies to all of the states, they do legally recognise common law. So if you've lived with a woman for X amount of time, some places it's 12 months, some places it's 7 years, some places it's 2 years, it varies. You need to find out what it is for your state if you live in America, or your country's laws, because in Europe it's different as well than it is in England. But I've heard so many times of women and guys splitting up, and the woman was the instigator, because 80% of divorces are instigated by women, which tells you how chaotic women are. They're already wrecking their own homes by walking away, rather than doing the hard work to work it out with their man. Now, I'm not talking about monstrous marriages where the guy's knocking lumps out the woman, or, you know, he's basically treating her like a slave, and that I would say to that woman, get out, for goodness sake, run. Don't walk, run. But the same for men. People seem to forget that there are men, and a high proportion of men, who are getting lumps knocked out of them by their women. So let's not go down that route of it's always this way or it's always that way. But that's an aside. In the UK, the common law is not recognised as legal standing. You don't believe me? Do your own research, please. Go online to a solicitor's website and ask the question. Go and see Citizens Advice Bureau. In England, we have Citizens Advice Bureau, free legal clinics where you can go and get answers to some of your questions, and ask them, am I entitled to half of my fella's stuff if we split up? No, we're not married. Straight away, the first thing they'll say, because they hear it all the time, is no, you're not. Now, if that you're living with a woman and she's paying half the mortgage, she's entitled to half of the value of the house. Well, that's only common sense. And English law is common law based on common sense. It's the same in the States. Like I say, your legal system is based on the English legal system. After all, we were the ones who came and colonised you. So when your Bill of Rights and your Constitution was written, it was based on the Magna Carta, the Great Charter, which was the UK's first attempt at giving ourselves some legal rights when we were all serfs and such like. But yeah, so excuse me. So in the UK, it's not recognised. It was actually brought in, that phrase, common law, wife and husband, was brought in by the financial institutes many, many years ago, because there were more and more women who started living together, paying bills together, started cohabiting without being married. And as the law stood at that time for property, it was only the man who could get a mortgage. It didn't matter if the woman was working. So they changed legally the idea of common law just so that the couple who weren't married could get a mortgage together to buy a house. Just like most things, why is it changed? Follow the money. Find out, we want to be able to sell houses, we want to be able to loan people money for mortgages. We can't because of this legal roadblock. Let's work around it and invent something called common law. And that's why so many women in England who live with a man, who split up after a few years and that, think they're entitled to the man's assets, because she thinks that legally common law is the same as marriage. No, it only works if you've signed that marriage certificate. So this is why I say in the UK you have no common sense reason, no legal reason for needing to get married. So why did we used to get married? Well, it was to breed, to procreate, to have children. Also, it was probably the only way that you were going to get to have sex. Women were the prize. They were usually virgins, usually. They were the prize for you to get with them so that you could have children together and raise them together. But the laws were different then. And over time, through what's happened in the 70s, through the early feminist movement, the laws have been changed. They've managed to get the ear of the politicians and say, this isn't fair, that's not fair, and change the laws into such a big mismatch and unequal mess that men now have very little rights. It's even worse if you have children. Now, I never advocate for you not taking care of your children. That's your job as a man. But if a woman tries to keep you out of the household, the legal system's there to keep you out of the household. She can literally call on the government and the laws and the police to stop you from seeing your children. And they will tell the most horrendous lies. So that marriage certificate is basically for men. I mean, this sounds hyperbolic. It sounds like I'm over-exaggerating, over-egging the pudding, that it's a slave certificate for men and the owners become the women. But you look at the legal system and tell me I'm wrong. I mean, seriously, tell me I'm wrong. Down in the comments below, tell me I'm full of nonsense, I'm full of rubbish. But you need to be educated about your legal system in your state, if you're in the United States, or your country, if you're anywhere else in the world, before you can make a rational, intelligent decision about marriage. Now let's look at the other side. I was just talking about children. There's no reason for you to get married to have children. So many children are born out of wedlock, it's not even frowned upon now. It's not even thought of as really a thing. I mean, we know by the statistics that there are many, a high percentage of single mothers who've decided to have children with a guy that she's not married to. Okay, that's your choice, go for it. And men, if you have children, you should and always must pay for that child, even if you don't want to be in their life, if you had no choice in the matter that you wanted kids, which I think is diabolical as well, because the legal system again is on the side of the women. You should at least pay for them at the minimum. If you were foolish enough to jump into bed with a woman who you couldn't trust because she got pregnant from you, and weren't doing everything in your power to stop her getting pregnant, in other words, bagging it, lads, you know, using a condom, withdrawing as well, all of that good stuff, then you kind of deserve the outcome of you having to pay for a child that you maybe didn't want. That's your bad. You cocked up. You have to pay for it. But when it comes to marriage, in today's age, I would suggest to any young guy out there contemplating it, go no. Even if it meant that relationship ends. Because you are signing your own slave certificate to the woman who's supposed to be your wife, your partner, your helpmate, becomes your mistress, your master. She holds the whip hand. And this might sound really, really, really hyperbolic, like I'm building it up. But once you dig into the English laws and the laws of your states and realise just how weak a position you're in once you get married, tell me I'm wrong. I was talking to a young guy day before yesterday, and I said this to him, and he said, I've been saying that for years. Smart guy. He said, I've been saying that for years. There's no reason to get married. No, you can buy a house together. You can live together as man and wife. You can join your bank accounts if you want, which I suggest you never do that either. Your money's yours, her money's hers. It's never ours. It should never be. You ask a woman how much she earns, what debt she's got, etc. And she'll think you're a monster. But why is it the double standard that they've got no problem asking you what you're worth, what do you drive, where do you live, what house you got, how much do you earn, blah, 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 blah. The 1,001 questions which says, am I thinking of you as a mate? Well, why shouldn't a guy ask you the same questions? How much do you weigh? How much debt have you got? Did you go to university? Have you got a load of debt from that? What do you earn? What are your plans for the future? It's just the same. I don't see a double standard. I hate the idea of double standards, and this is another double standard. So guys, never contemplate the idea of walking down the aisle and saying I do, because what you're saying I do is I do agree to be your slave. I can't put it any stronger than that. It truly is that bad. But that's in England. That's what the laws are in England. We know that the legal system has been engineered into such a way that it's completely against men's rights and against men's health and against men's finances. We know this, and if you've done even a small amount of Google searching, you will know this. If you haven't, and then you've walked in blind and you deserve everything you get no sympathy from me. But if you've done all of your research and then gone into marriage, what were you thinking? Seriously, what were you thinking? I mean, you can't do the research and then come to any other logical conclusion other than this isn't for me. One other thing, in English law, and this again is different for the United States, and each state's different in the United States and Canada, Australia, New Zealand, and the rest of Europe, basically the wider Western world. In England, there is no such thing, and have never worked, as prenuptial agreements. This is where you've got the advantage on us, guys, because you have most of your states are prenuptial agreement states. You can have prenuptial agreement, but even then you really need to do your research. You really need to deep dive into what works and what doesn't, and even if it's worth it for you. That's why I say young guys should never ever get married. Not in this day and age, not until laws are getting changed so that things are a lot more equal between men and women. And laws aren't going to get changed until people force politicians to change the laws. And who's going to force them to do it? Well, if men stop marrying women, it'll be women. They were the ones who created this mess, so let them fix it. And the only way we can force women to start using that loud voice to be heard, like they did when they wanted the laws to be changed in their favour, to use them again, is by keep saying, no, I won't marry her. I'll live with you. We'll have children together. We'll live together as man and wife, happily. But any time you cock up, I can walk away and take all of my stuff with me, all of my resources, backing, and basically my protection. And that's what it means. But you have no hand. You are just giving ultimatums and bluffing on a weak hand if you say that in today's age and you're married. Because she'll say, yeah, go. I'll take everything you've got. You're going to be living under a Subway, eating tuna out of a can as a cardboard box and call it home. I will take everything from you. Literally. And she will. And more than 50%, especially if you've got children, because that's her starting point. My starting point's 50%. You're hoping to end up with 50%. That's not equal. So like I said, don't get married. It's not for you, guys. It truly isn't. Please look into it. When I was saying about prenuptial agreements, if the prenuptial agreement is presented too early before a marriage, it can be thrown out of court. Why? Because it's signing a contract under duress. Even the simple fact that you go, I want you to sign a prenuptial agreement, even if it's 18 months before the wedding, And she says, yeah, sure, no, I've got no problem with that. I earn actually more than you, she says, or something along those lines. Or, yeah, it doesn't matter, we're both wealthy, things won't change. Of course things change. They change all the day. They change every day. They change as much as the weather. Even if she's happy to sign a prenuptial agreement and then later down the line, years later, you split up and you go, well, I've got this prenuptial agreement that said this will be the split up. And she says, no, I signed that under pressure. Prove she didn't. That's all she has to say. And then the courts look at that agreement as an unconstitutional or unenforceable contract. Because that's all it is, it's a contract. I'm deadly serious about this. You've got to look into prenups in your state before you even contemplate marriage, which you shouldn't be doing. Not as a young man, not in this day and age. I'm sorry to keep battering on about this, but you really need to get this through your head. You are not going to benefit from a prenup, from a marriage. You're not. Anyway, that's my views on marriage. I know they're going to be controversial. If you've got anything you want to say, you want to slap back at me and tell me I'm full of nonsense and I shouldn't be telling guys this, why shouldn't I? Let me know in the comments down below. And guys, do you agree with me? Do you think what I've told you has helped you, has made you able to get not a better outcome, but make better decisions? If you decide to get married, fine, it's up to you. It's your choice. That's what MGTOW, that is what this channel's all about. You have to make the choices that are right for you. Brotherhood of Men, we're trying to give you the information that you need to make the best decisions. Anyway, like I say, if you think I'm talking nonsense or you totally agree with me, or you have a story to tell yourself about marriage, nearly married, and a fiance, someone you had to walk away from because you didn't want to get married, leave it in the comments down below. Let me know. My name's Andy R. This is the Brotherhood of Men, and I'll talk to you soon. Oh, by the way, if I've earned your subscription, I hope I have. This information might be new to you. Then hit the subscribe button, because there'll be more content like this in the future, and you don't want to miss that out, so hit the bell notification as well. And if nothing else, give the video a like. It shows action on the channel, it improves the algorithm, and this message gets out to more people. But I can only do it with your support, guys. You are the ones who will help build this channel. You're also the reason why I stand here and hopefully start to get better with my presentations. I don't know how I'm doing, you tell me. Anyway, I'm going for a cup of tea because I think I've earned one. And I'll talk to you soon. Bye now.